My guess is we'll be talking about Harris Dickinson for many decades.
Oh, he's the real deal. I mean, if you look at him in Beach Rats, County Lines, which is unbelievably powerful and really, really tough. You mentioned Souvenir Part 2 and Crawdad. He is one of those people who, and I would say this is the mark of a great actor, you can see them in 4 different films and not realise it's the same person. No, I think we're going to be talking about him for a very long time.
Yes, and interesting to hear his genuine accent, a bit like Christian Bale when he was on the show a couple of weeks ago, Gary Oldman when he talks in his ordinary voice. Anyway, Triangle of Sadness is the movie.
So, Ruben Östlund once said that all my films are about people trying to avoid losing face, which I think is actually a particularly astute bit of self-analysis. In Force Majeure, you have a story about a father on a ski resort, a moment of crisis, he deserts his family, and the whole of the rest of the film is about him pretending that isn't what happened and them all realising that is what happened. In The Square, Klaus Bang, is it Klaus or Klaus or however you pronounce it?
It's Klaus Bang.
Klaus Bang is this guy who's running a museum that's meant to be all about openness and inclusivity, but it actually turns out that he's completely prejudicial, and he's a much more decrepit person. And this is revealed through something that happens that shows his rough edges. So this is Ruben Östlund's second Palme d'Or win. The first one he won for was The Square, and now he's won for Triangle of Sadness. And the film got an 8-minute standing ovation at Cannes, as you probably know. This kind of does for the super rich what The Square did for the world of high art. I mean, like high art and fine dining. It's the models are empty and vain. The Russian poo magnate, he describes himself in slightly rougher terms, keeps his eyes on the jewels even when overcome with sadness. The posh British arms dealers who, in a kind of Blackley comic joke, end up faced with their own creations. And then there's Woody Harrelson, who you mentioned, as the drunk Marxist, quasi-Marxist ship's captain who just sort of spews this sort of political rhetoric over the ship's tannoy whilst everybody is being sick. Here's the problem. So The Square has a dinner party sequence in which the dinner party is interrupted by a performance artist who comes on like a gorilla, and completely disrupts the dinner, and it's terrifying. That was actually the poster image for The Square. It was this image of this guy standing on all fours on the toilet, terrifying, absolutely terrifying sequence. Goes on for way too long. It's really uncomfortable. Here it's the captain's dinner when everyone's posh and fine dining and it all goes Mr. Creosote. That set piece is impressively funny. What it isn't is genuinely shocking or challenging in the way that the central set piece in The Square is. And I think that the problem with Triangle of Sadness for me is it's a much softer target than previous targets. I mean, can anyone think anything other than all these people are disastrous? You're smiling at me, meaning that's what you...
No, absolutely. The super rich and arms dealers, how difficult is that as a target?
Exactly.
Not difficult at all.
Turns out they're hateful.
Yeah.
Surprise,
yeah,
surprise. And wow, in other news, Jacob Rees-Mogg is an arse. It's so I think the problem, therefore, is that when the world is turned upside down, which is kind of the third act of the film, and we have a kind of Lord of the Flies situation, it's not entirely surprising the way it plays out. It's not, it's one of those things that if civilization collapsed, do you think the posh people would be the ones who knew how to catch a fish?
Probably not.
Probably not. So I think that even with the things about the film that I like and admire, and I do think Harris Dickinson is terrific in everything I've seen him in, I think that at 149 minutes, this is shorter than The Square, but it felt longer. And I think some of the barbs land, and I think some of it works, but I think the problem is it is a satire about people that we all think are basically pretty hateful from the beginning. And that works less well for me than a satire about a family man who's revealed to be a creep, or the director of a apparently liberal art establishment who's revealed to be a creep. But I would bring it back again to that comment that Ruben Östlund made, which was that all his films are basically about people trying to avoid losing face, and I think that does apply. Oh, wow, you've made it to the end.
So, as Cliff would have said, congratulations.
And now that you're here, let me tell you about all our other offerings.
We have other offerings?
We have other offerings. Reviews and big-name guests, such as...
Tom Hanks.
Wow.
Alicia Vikander.
Wow.
Tom Hiddleston.
2 Toms.
If you are a subscriber, you get all the extra bonus features like One Frame Back, bonus reviews, that kind of thing.
And our new feature, Question Smestion. So if you want to keep up to date with all of this here on YouTube, you can subscribe to the YouTube channel. Also go to kermodeandmayo.com for all the new stuff about the podcast.
Tap the link. Go on, tap the link. You know you want to.